have 2 children. They're both in their early 20s now, so I've been in the teenager raising business for quite a long time now. So if you've had the pleasure of living with teenagers, raise up your hands. Keep them up. The rest of you people, look at these people with their hands up. Look how tired they are. Put those hands down, save your energy. This could be a long show here. Now, teenagers are the most exhausting things on earth. This is the way it works. At 11, they love you. Not always. And not really. But if they think you got some money, they might show you some fake affection and try to remove your money from you. Now my daughter, when she was 13 and a half, was driving me so crazy that I actually threatened her. I said, listen, if you don't start treating me like a human being, does this sound familiar to anybody? If you don't start treating me like a human being, I am going to get a job playing folk music at the mall. Tell me that's not the ultimate dad revenge. The one place you never expect to see a sorry old man, and there he is, standing in front of the Gap. Hi, honey. It's me, Daddy. The problem with teenagers, and with reproduction in general, frankly, is that you tend to reproduce people that are smarter than you. That doesn't seem fair, does it? You're supposed to educate them and keep them out of trouble, and they bring a larger cranium into the equation. And my daughter is the smartest one out of all of us, and this is the way it worked. At 13 and a half, she was cruising down the highway of her life, and she hit an ice patch, and she went into a 5-year tailspin. And we don't know where the hell she went. But we refer to it now, in retrospect, as the unpleasant era. And then, 5 years later, she came back. But she didn't come back gradually so I could acclimate to the new water temperature in my house. She came back instantly one morning. It was like flicking on a light switch. Bing, I'm back. I love you again. I'm nice now. And she looked at us like she was seeing us for the first time and wanted to know how we got so haggard looking. Well, the reason for that, Sybil, you have to be old to know how funny that is. The reason for that, Sybil, is because we've been living with your evil twin for 5 years. And we're burned out and exhausted, and we are just fragments of the people that you left behind. Now, until recently, I always held a day job. I installed alarm systems in people's houses. That's what I did for 20 years until this last year. And so people like you have enabled me to stop crawling through other people's attics to earn a living. So I just want to take a minute and say thank you for that. Now, I live in a town called Lynn, Massachusetts. It's kind of a factory town. Oh, there you go. And some people back there. Watch your wallets around those people. Kind of a north of Boston attitude problem factory town. So I have always said that installing alarm systems for 20 years has been a public service on my part, because really for 20 years I just have been trying to keep my friends out of other people's houses. The reason I'm telling you that is because when my daughter was 15 and a half, she was in the epicenter of adolescence. There's like a 9-month period in there where their head can spin in a complete circle, and just the sight of their parents makes their skin crawl up and down their arms. And when they walk through a room, they leave behind this purple glow of angry, exploding hormones. During this time, the epicenter of my daughter's adolescence, I was walking by her bedroom one morning. I was getting ready to go to work, and I stood in the doorway with a white flag at each hand because I've lost every fight I've ever fought, and I'm just trying to survive to the end of the war. And I stood there with a white flag in each hand, and I said to my daughter, I am not trying to oppress you, which has taken the place of good morning in my house. And it's the way that I have learned to start all of my sentences. I'm not trying to oppress you. Please pass the potatoes, whatever it is. Just trying not to start a fight. And I said to her, I'm not trying to oppress you. Just tell me the truth. Did you do your homework last night? Now, for any of you who still have children that love you, talking about the little ones, I'm going to imitate my daughter's facial expressions and her tone of voice, so you can prepare yourself for what's coming down the road for you. So I go, look, just tell me the truth. Did you do your homework last night? And she said, no. Was that perfect? Come on. There we go. A moment of perfection out in the backyard. Now, I go, well, when are you going to do your homework? She said, I'm going to do it this morning. I go, isn't it due this morning? She goes, you can leave now. And being the obedient dad that I have always been, I actually did leave! I didn't know what else to do! I was walking down the hallway holding my head, wondering how my life got this way! This is a true story now. I went down to the bathroom and I bent over to pick something up off the floor, and my nose started to bleed and blood was pouring out everywhere, and I grabbed some tissue and I held it up like this, and in 2 seconds it was all red and blood was running down my arm, and being the diabolical parental genius that I have always been, I decided that this would be an excellent time for me to go back down to my daughter's bedroom. So I walked back down, and I stood in the doorway with blood pouring out of my head onto the floor, and I said to my daughter, every time I talk to you about homework, my brain explodes.